Take a look back into the week. Into the week leaves one with a strong wave of anxiety. There was this issue of WAEC scandal, the most scary flood outbreak, with a very gloomy prediction, and the shocking flight fiasco with Kwam 1 defying the rules of conduct even on a public layer. Can you also ever imagine that the sacred temple would come under the spotlight, not for the best of reasons, as the church gets enmeshed in a controversial mix on LGBTQ matter? Well, to make sense of it all, this high-level drama in the week that was, Baba Yusuf, a public affairs and policy analyst, joins us on Arise Prime Time. Baba Yusuf, always glad to discuss with you. Glad to have you here.
Always happy to be here, Andy. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Maybe I should just start with even the recent one before the week. Peter has said Atiku has described Showore's treatment by the police as a shameful abuse of power and an act of personal vendetta by the Nigerian police force. And then Atiku is asking that he be taken to court. What do you make of that whole incident?
Well, I think in my own opinion, this is not common with, this is not just with this administration. This recurring fixation on pressure groups and opposition figures from a strategic perspective is actually, glorifying those figures and actually giving them, that time and that airtime as against focusing on governance. If I was the one to be in position to advise or in government, I would rather focus on delivering good governance to counter or neutralize whatever narratives that are happening, because no matter how you see it, today in Russia we have opposition figures. In the most dogmatic countries we have opposition figures. It's the natural tendency of any human being or any living thing. So those pressure personalities or pressure groups are a sine qua non of a society that should progress or retrogress.
Especially in a democracy.
And then you are talking about the democracy.
Let's talk about Kwam.
The fixation on that particular figure, in a way, it distracts governance.
Yeah.
Governance, them from
the
governance.
real thing, the real reason why they are in government or why any government should be in place. Well,
Showore will continue going back there and she'll continue doing what he's doing.
And then how would you continue to respond?
Absolutely.
Kwam 1, well, his real name is Kwasiu. Kwasiu Ayinde, Kwam 1, known Fuji icon. He has apologized to the president, to the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, to his fans, and he's taking responsibilities for his actions. And he's saying that what he had in the bottle was not what people were thinking, that he had water there because his doctors advised him to, dehydrate. What do you make of the whole episode and then the apology?
Well, I'll start from the apology and go to the episode because the episode is more crucial. So I'll just glide through the apology. He has done the right thing, the first right thing to do, taking responsibility. Albeit he should have taken responsibility when he set his foot in that airport, right from the toll gate of that airport. But water under the bridge with that taking responsibility part, because I saw the pushback, which was disgusting, I must say. I saw the initial pushback he or his people were giving. So he has apologized. But then there are issues on the table, Indy. You talked about the episode. There was a time in this country I took a very bold position with regards to our aviation and our airports. And even the stakeholders in the airport almost declared me persona non grata. Today, water under the bridge, almost everything I have said with regards to the weak links around the airport ecosystem have come to pass. And I give glory to God for that. You see, in this country, I keep on writing and speaking about the hypocrisy of our expectations in this country. This is a country of people that can bystand issues so long as they don't affect them. And then we expect angels to come and lead us and provide that leadership, that utopic leadership we're expecting, while indeed the leaders are a reflection of the people. Where am I going with this? Every week or every month or every quarter, we hear issues with regards breaching of protocols or extant laws, whether it is in the airports or everywhere. Now, to situate this conversation to this particular issue that has to do with the airport, we know that every other day, quote and unquote VIPs breach these protocols. and nothing happens. What happened with regards to the Kwam saga is a pointer or a wake-up call to all of us that this is a bubble waiting to burst. And I've spoken about this years ago, albeit it was taken with a pinch of salt, including the stakeholders within the aviation industry. First of all, everybody, without exception, except for those like the president of the country or on that banner, and they have their own route, must pass through what you call a sterile area in the airport. By the way, I spent 9.5 years in the aviation sector, rising to the CEO level, so I'm conversant with the dynamics of the ecosystem and the extant laws. Okay? Now, from that sterile area, everybody must behave himself, regardless of status. You follow the protocol.
You should.
Interestingly, we all do that outside the country.
And then when you come to
do you
Nigeria,
know who I am syndrome?
Let's go to
it's what is killing the country and what is taking us to a place where, for example, if that pilot on trying to taxi has crushed one or the people around or has led the aircraft to topple, what will we be saying? And interestingly, the international community is looking.
Is watching.
And if, for example, the quote-unquote VIP is allowed to board, and I say they shouldn't have allowed him to board, but not at that point. At the sterile area, the beginning of the sterile area, where you are supposed to go to the screening point, that is where it should happen. But to now cut some slack to the operators at that level, sometimes if they decide to ensure that the rules are followed, they may lose their job because they stepped on a VIP store.
That's
so
what,
it's
that's
a total
why,
leadership
that's why you're
value
getting
chain
to, yes.
that should be addressed, and zero tolerance. I hope the federal government, the minister has taken the right position to sound very clearly and succinctly that they are not going to take it lightly, so that this thing should not happen again.
All right.
And we should be closing these loops. They keep on happening. 2 weeks later, we don't hear what happens again. We don't want a situation where a breach will lead to air mishap in our environment.
And one is watching to see now, because he has a 6-month ban, any flight. With this apology, one watches to see what gives.
Yes.
Parents, educationists are at daggers drawn with the WAEC over the exams with mass failure, especially in English. Technical glitches have led to WAEC recalling the results and closing their portal. What do you make of this, all this WAEC? In fact, the whole WAEC stuff, the whole failings, and too many discussions about what do you just make of it?
Well, to be honest, let's even backtrack to JAMB. You see, the examination bodies in this country need to get their acts together, with due respect to them. They are playing and toying with the lives of our youth, our kids. My background is technology. I'm a chartered IT expert by the Charter of the British Computer Society, and I'm a fellow of the Institute of Analysts and Programmers of the United Kingdom. I got that over 30 years ago. So I know what technology is all about, at least, even if it's a surface. I understand technology glitches must happen. But before the D-Day, which is going live, I expect a lot of scenario, play outs to happen to ensure that our students do not go through this ordeal. Remember, the outcome of the JAMB exams, some kids even committed suicide. Remember the emotional toil on these kids when and if we have these issues and they are not able to go through the process to have a seamless examination. So I will expect them to they have almost a year or a quarter. I know that there are sessions or quarterly exams, but then that is why they are there, to deal with the fundamental issues and the systemic issues. It is very embarrassing that we have to come and be dealing with quote-unquote glitches on a huge issue that has to do with exams, as we have had with elections. So in implementing technological solutions, we should be sure-footed. Otherwise, we should not go for it. I'm not saying there won't be issues, but they should be minimalized as much as possible. And the communication strategy is to take responsibility when it
occurs. Now, anyway, they've apologized, but whether that is enough is one thing. Just briefly, before we get out for Newsnight, there's this very concerning issue. Moment flood occurs, people are told to relocate. Relocate to where? That's the question I always ask. Well, I was discussing with a professor one day, and he said there are transit camps, but the question is, shouldn't we have places prepared and of course the 19 states flood alert. What are the state governments doing about this?
I've written 6 episodes of my Friday back page weekly column on the Nation Piece, 6 over the past 2 years with regards to this, flooding and disaster and the essence of mitigation. And I will key into what you said. While early warning includes telling people to move away from the floodplains or the danger zones, it also behoves on government to provide, 1, the potential alternative, 2, the palliative that will enable them to go. There are people that are thinking they are multidimensionally poor. Don't forget we have over 130 million multidimensionally poor people, and you are telling them to relocate. They don't even have the wherewithal.
Even where they are,
to move to where. So I think they should expand that scope of mitigation and the framework to ensure that these action points are sequenced in a way and manner, since we know these things continue to happen and they will escalate due to global warming, due to climate change. It's not going to go away. And then the interstate collaboration, I want to see more interstate collaborations to ensure that the people are taken care of. And I will use this opportunity to call on all citizens, move away from the floodplains if you know you are. We should also be responsible people as citizens of the country.
The thing, like you said, is do they have the wherewithal to move away?
For those that can afford that built on water planes, they should stop doing so.
Thank you so much, Baba Yusuf, Public Affairs and Policy Analyst.
My pleasure.
Anytime. Always good discussing.
Likewise.
Well, that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again next week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching.